All right, with the beginning of the school year, and so much to share on, obviously, I've shared some ideas on mission statements and on a vision for a school that focuses on reading and on what I believe to be a very strong approach to the recommendations of TRC through the seven sacred teachings or through some of our stories. That's all there. I wanted to do a real quick video on flutes, just on flutes. I wouldn't be a teacher and administrator again without owning and using a native flute to my advantage. They're an amazing tool. If I'm speaking to kindergartens and I start to play my flute, I've got them. In a high school, grade 12s, I've got them. If I'm speaking at a conference, I start my flute. They are that effective. Let me start with the fact that no, they are not. This is not a cultural experience. No matter where I go in the world, the flute is the third oldest instrument in the world. The drum, the rattle, and the flute. Whether it was called a whistle but heck, when I went to India, I brought a flute with me, and there I sat next to a flautist in Udaipur who played. In China, they play. In Africa, it's the third oldest instrument in the world. There. The reality is that we call them native flutes because my ancestors played them. They're very, very common. They were very common amongst the Lakota. And like everything else, there was a time that the Canadian government said, no potlatch, no round dances, no powwows, no spirituality. We just tried to shut everything out that Indigenous people focused on. And in life, everything goes in circles, so they're coming back. And this is what it looks like. And if you've not heard of them before, I'm severely dyslexic. I can't read music. I can't read a note. And it's been a real struggle for me because Mom wanted me to play the piano and that just wasn't happening. But when I first discovered this flute, I discovered that like a recorder, if you covered one hole, it played like a pentatonic instrument. That easy. The problem, of course, is I couldn't make my finger stay down, so I put a Band-Aid over that hole, and then I began to play. And today I own 94 flutes. I use them in my books. I use them in my work. And if I were a teacher and administrator, you couldn't stop me from getting my hands on one. They're not expensive. And I'll leave the link to Steve Rensink, a very, very close friend of mine who lives in Greenbank, Ontario, who put this little flute together for me. And I've got 2 or 3 of Steve's flutes in here. But if you're interested, reach out to Steve and say, Steve, I want a flute. I kid you not, for $200 or $250, he'll make you a beautiful, unique, handmade flute, and he'll send you a little booklet that's called How to Play and How to Care for Your Native Flute. I wrote it. In fact, I might even call it Native Flutes for Dummies, I don't know. And he'll show you. You want to play Amazing Grace? Cover the holes. I know, absolutely crazy. So I wanted you to know that they're there, they're available, and what a great focus for you professionally to learn how to play the flute and use them in your storytelling, use them in your teachings. And if ever you really got the urge to it, Richard Dubé is a good friend of mine who lives in Saskatoon, and he owns a company called Northern Spirits Flutes. Rich makes them out of PVC pipe, perfectly tuned. You could buy a whole set for your classroom, hand paint them, let your kids make the holes, paint them, and then you could teach them to play. I mean, they are just that much nicer than recorders, and they're a way to build. I mean, just a creative way to build. So this is on flutes. If you're interested and I'm not answering your questions, make sure you reach out to me or to Steve or to Rich. I'll leave their websites or their contact information. And I wouldn't be without one. So I hope this helps as you go into the new school year, a professional goal